Plant FAQs. Nova Zembla rhododendron. How fast do Nova Zembla rhododendrons grow? Nova Zembla rhododendrons are moderate growers, typically gaining about 6 to 12 inches in height each year under optimal growing conditions. However, growth rate can vary depending on factors such as climate, soil quality, and care practices. Is Nova Zembla rhododendron a perennial? Yes, Nova Zembla rhododendron is a perennial shrub, meaning it lives for multiple years and regrows from the same roots each spring. When do Nova Zembla rhododendrons bloom? Nova Zembla rhododendrons typically bloom in mid to late spring, producing large clusters of vibrant red flowers that last for several weeks. The exact blooming period may vary slightly, depending on local climate and weather conditions. Can Nova Zembla rhododendron grow in full sun? While Nova Zembla rhododendrons prefer partial shade to filtered sunlight, they can tolerate some morning sun or dappled sunlight throughout the day. However, prolonged exposure to intense afternoon sun, especially in hot climates, can cause leaf scorch and stress the plant. Here's a guide on how to plant your Nova Zembla rhododendron and ensure it thrives in your garden. Timing. Ideally, plant Nova Zembla rhododendron in late fall or early spring. This allows the plant to establish its root system before the hot summer months. Location. Sunlight. Nova Zembla rhododendron is one of the few rhododendrons that tolerates full sun. However, it can also thrive in partial shade, especially in hotter climates. Avoid deep shade, as it can lead to fewer blooms. Soil. Nova Zembla rhododendrons prefer moist, well-drained, acidic soil. Here's how to check and amend your soil. Soil pH. Test your soil's pH level using a soil test kit. Ideally, the pH should be between 4.5 and 6.0 for rhododendrons. If your soil is not acidic enough, you can amend it with peat moss, composted pine needles, or other organic matter that will help lower the pH. Planting. Dig a hole. Dig a hole that is 2 to 3 times wider and deeper than the root ball of your Nova Zembla rhododendron. Loosen the soil. Loosen the soil around the edges of the hole to encourage root growth. Amend the soil. If necessary, if your soil is not acidic or well-drained enough, mix some compost, peat moss, or other organic matter into the soil you dug out of the hole. Position the plant. Carefully remove the plant from its container and gently place it in the center of the hole. Ensure the root crown, the area where the stem meets the roots, sits slightly above the surrounding soil level. Backfill the hole. Fill the hole back in with the amended soil mixture, gently tamping it down to remove air pockets. Water thoroughly. Water the plant deeply to settle the soil around the roots and ensure proper hydration. Aftercare. Watering. Water your Nova Zembla rhododendron regularly, especially during the first growing season and during hot, dry spells. The soil should be consistently moist, but not soggy. Here's a simple way to check moisture. Stick your finger into the top inch of soil. If it feels dry to the touch, it's time to water. Mulching. Apply a layer of mulch, around 2 to 3 inches deep, around the base of the plant to retain moisture, regulate soil temperature, suppress weeds, and protect the roots from extreme temperatures. Use mulch like shredded bark, pine needles, or wood chips. Fertilizing. You may not need to fertilize frequently, especially if your soil is rich in nutrients. However, a balanced fertilizer formulated for acid-loving plants applied in early spring can be beneficial. Follow the package instructions for dosage and application. Pruning. Routine pruning is not necessary, but can be done to maintain size and shape or remove dead, diseased, or damaged branches. Prune lightly after flowering has finished, using sharp, sterilized pruning shears. Additional tips. Nova Zembla rhododendrons are generally deer and rabbit resistant. Watch out for common garden pests like aphids, lace bugs, or caterpillars. Insecticidal soap or neem oil solution can be used for control if needed. Enjoy the beautiful pink blooms of your Nova Zembla rhododendron in late spring to early summer. How to make soil good for rhododendron Nova Zembla. To create optimal soil conditions for Nova Zembla rhododendron, amend the soil with organic matter such as compost, peat moss, or pine bark to improve drainage and acidity. Ensure the soil is well-drained, loose, and slightly acidic with a pH between 4.5 and 6.0. How to propagate Nova Zembla rhododendrons. Nova Zembla rhododendrons can be propagated through several methods, including stem cuttings, layering, or grafting. Stem cuttings taken from healthy, Established plants in late spring or early summer can root successfully when treated with rooting hormone and placed in a suitable rooting medium. Is Nova Zembla rhododendron deer-resistant? While Nova Zembla rhododendron is not deer-proof, it is considered deer-resistant due to its leathery, evergreen foliage and toxic compounds that make it unappealing to browsing deer. However, hungry deer may still nibble on the plant, especially during periods of food scarcity. Where to plant Nova Zembla rhododendron? Plant Nova Zembla rhododendron in a location with partial shade to protect it from harsh afternoon sun and winter winds. Choose a site with well-drained, acidic soil and good air circulation to promote healthy growth and flowering. Avoid planting in low-lying areas prone to waterlogging or areas with heavy clay soil.